Welcome everybody to another episode of Gossip and Critical Thought. I'm Kwene and I'm joined today with two wonderful guests. I have Tommy and Rio here and we're in studio, my first ever in studio recording, which is very fun. But Tommy, I'll give a little update about him. He's a Vietnamese filmmaker and the owner of Digital Wrkshop. Digital Wrkshop is where we're filming today out of the studio in Winnipeg, and they do a whole bunch of different things from VHS conversion to stage design for concerts, video production, photography. If it's visual, they have you covered. And Rio is joining us as well, and he does a lot of film photography, documenting a lot behind the scenes of a lot of the Digital Wrkshop projects and his own work. He's also the Digital Wrkshop creative director and keeps the ship running and keeps a very tight ship, I am told. So Rio and Tommy, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. I open every guest episode with a secret question. So
Okay,
would the
sweet.
two of you like to hear your secret question?
Sure.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, what is your favorite part of the studio?
Ooh, that's a
You have to say it at the exact same time, or
You can have different
yeah.
answers.
You want to go first?
I feel like you should go first.
Sure,
It's your studio. At the end of
Mine's
the day.
like I have this label maker and people just make jokes for me.
Okay.
Like one of them was we had a water machine. It just said vodka, vodka dispenser, vodka
Yeah.
dispenser. What was another one?
Don't jump at the window.
Don't jump through the window.
Yeah.
And then at one point, all my chairs said "Do not sit."
Yeah.
And
Nice.
then whenever I had clients come in, they were just all standing, and I'd be like, "You guys want to sit down?" It's like, "Oh, all these chairs say do not sit." That's my.
That's fair. Yeah, I also don't think I would want to sit down if a chair is expressing that it does not consent to me sitting on it. That's fair.
Yeah.
Is yours also the label maker, Rio?
No, I never would have guessed the label maker, actually. I don't know. I would hate to say like the overall like vibe that and like feeling of the room. But I want to say like ever since I kind of moved in with Tommy, I got a very like homey feel, like a very living room-esque.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it kind of evolved from your childhood bedroom into like your maybe like your
Apartment?
yeah, that or like your like I guess your teenage bedroom or something like that. But it's a very homey vibe. You can kind of just like kick your shoes off and sit around, play some video games and stuff. But I think if like it was like a physical thing, the photo wall, that's probably
It's a
I think it's
classic.
probably like the coolest thing to anyone who comes in here.
We take a picture of everyone that comes
Yeah.
in, and ever since I moved in, and
Mhm.
it's at I think 300 now.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I think 27 people came in last time you came.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's my second tour.
Yeah.
They liked me enough to invite me back.
Of course.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Those are both really good answers. The label maker, I will say, I think is shocking to most people.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not a sponsorship. What brand is the label maker?
Dymo. I think
Yeah.
they're the only
I
ones.
don't know.
mixed.
I don't know
Is-
why I asked
it's
because I don't know
the 3D
shit about
one, right?
that.
No, I was actually thinking the two-dimensional one, the
Oh,
flat one.
Oh, okay. It's not
Classic.
that. It's like
the 3D one, people get too conflict. Like they get too.
the one where you
You
do
have
the
to
dial.
you have to like hand punch it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
too complicated
Yeah.
for them. So when
Yeah.
people find it, they don't know how to use it.
But
great answers.
There-
maybe
But-
we'll make our own label maker.
There we go.
And then his favorite label maker will be the Digital Wrkshop label
Yeah.
maker.
There we go. Yeah.
There you go.
That's our next project.
Yeah.
Always be branding and expanding.
Yes.
Tommy told me that you both like skateboarding, and honestly your bios were both very, very cool, cooler than I will ever be. So I'm going to be very open in that I know jack shit about skateboarding, but I can see there's a skateboard looming over us over there.
Yes.
Tell me about skateboarding. Do you both still currently skateboard?
I think Rio skateboards more than I do.
At the moment, I mean, with it being winter and stuff, no. Once it warms up, maybe I'll try again. I think I'm with everything photography taking over so much in my life. I'm a little scared to like eat shit real bad and like crack my head open or something, or really break like an arm or a leg and put me out of like work with all of these guys for a bit. But I'll definitely get back on the board a bit. I got a couple different setups that I mess around with, and I'd say the skateboarding, we were more. It's a lot when we were growing up, and I think
Okay.
when we first met, and
Yeah, we bonded over skateboarding and just video games. It was kind of like our thing.
yeah, it would have been like what 2011, 12.
It's around there, yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I actually got into filmmaking because of skateboarding. Because there's this director named Spike Jones that he directed a bunch of girls skateboarding and LeBron girls skateboarding, and then yeah, that's like that's what Rio's deck is.
It's a girl
Oh,
skateboard.
okay.
Yeah.
It's like the Washroom logo.
Okay. Oh,
And-
I see it now.
Yeah.
And but then he moved into I went through his whole filmography, saw that he was doing music videos, and then he was doing an Oscar-winning movie. He did Being John Malkovich, and it blew my mind. And I was like, but then also I just skateboarding was just a huge part of me and Rio's. How do you word this? The base of our friendship.
Like I wouldn't say the base of our friendship, but it was very much like something culture-wise physical that we related to. Like we played a lot of video games. We played a lot of video games and like hung around in the basement as guys, like with a couple of other buddies, and just fooling around playing certain games. And that was a big thing. But I think skateboarding was like, how do you say, it was unavoidable growing up. Like at least at our school, every lunch, all the kids would get their skateboards out and they would jump this little curb, and then all the lunch supervisors would scream at them, and the principal would come up and be like, you need to be wearing your helmets, and you know, if you fall on the school property, you know, we're not liable, and blah blah blah. And I don't know, I was always a part of that, and I would skateboard to and from school, and I would skateboard to his house, and you know, it was just kind of it was more accessible than, I guess, always having a bike and carrying this bike around and locking it up, and I could just like bring a board around with me. But then I guess on the other hand, the culture of it all, the brands were so cool, and the clothes were cool, and everything was like the prime, that was prime skateboarding time. That was the golden era, like a lot of people would say, the golden age. And
all our favorite rappers were also wearing skateboarding clothes, and like they were skateboarding.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't think we were necessarily great skateboarders, you know.
We were just a fan. We were just
We
very,
you know, I'd say if anything, Tommy would be more like the filmer, and I was probably doing, you know, I was barely doing shitty tricks, but like my good buddies, Jude and stuff, they were better at skateboarding. We'd all go to the skate park all the time. We would skateboard to the gas station, to McDonald's, and to Walmart, and, you know, hop on the bus and skateboard around. And it was just kind of the cool thing to do then. And everything was, at least with the culture and what was coming out in terms of skaters and parts and what the brands were doing, we really resonated with it. And I think one of the things that we did a lot of more so is go to the mall. And when you go to the mall, we'd be looking at, you know, these skateboard shop stores, and they weren't necessarily like, how do you say, the real skate shops. Shout out Skates, shout out Scam Skate. Support your actual local skate shops. Don't go to Zoomies. But
Okay, that was my only perception of a skate shop. Sorry.
yeah, no, hey, like, I mean, the thing that's good about Zoomies is if it gets people that cannot get a skateboard at the skate shop, at least they're getting somewhat into the culture, supporting it somehow. But it's a tough conversation there. I'm not gonna get into that one. But we go to the mall, we'd be seeing clothes and stuff, and I think one of our favorite brands that we would see and that we would get is Enjoy, and we definitely bonded a lot over that, I think. And then, you know, their skate videos were just hilarious. In terms of, I guess, the skateboard scene, Enjoy was like the shithead Joker brand, and they weren't too serious, and the ads were hilarious. And
not by today's standards though, but
yeah, maybe not by today's standards. Maybe they'd probably get canceled today really
ASAP,
quick.
yeah.
And then that was also just how a lot of skateboarding was too. It was very punk. It was very, you know, against the man, and like, how do you say, you weren't skateboarding because your parents loved it, and you like, that kind of thing. But with me specifically, it actually started when I was a kid. I grew up in like Osborne. Like, I didn't really have any friends that lived around me, so I spent a lot of time at home. And we had a PlayStation 1, and my dad just randomly one day gave me a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. It was my first ever video game. And I remember it said T for teen. He was like, don't tell your mom. And I was like, I guess it was because of the music or whatever in the game. There was like some blood. But that soundtrack, that those songs, everything about skateboarding from that point, I was like so interested. And I remember asking my parents, like, I need a skateboard. And I'm like, you know, I'm like this big. Like, what am I going to be doing on a skateboard?
The skateboard's bigger than you.
Yeah, it literally was. Well, they got me a mini one, actually. It was super mini. And they patted me up super good. But I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
But it was still super cool. It was just like, I think as a kid, action sports were a lot more on the come up and less established, and now they're more established. And skateboarding now is it's a very professional thing in competitions. There's still street skateboarding and people doing parts, and then there's the competitions, and these people are insane, and kids from Japan that are skateboarding better than some of the pro skaters that are the old greats and the legends. But I'd say the culture and the styling and that's really us. We're not we don't necessarily want to be posers and be like, oh, like we're fucking skaters, but like
I just can't even like
do
a kickflip or do any tricks now.
It's we've been super related to it. We had a teacher that I think brought us together really well. Shout out Sean Dolinsky, but we did movies with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
And his original video background was he was doing skate videos, and as the teacher, he was kind of the cool teacher, but even he was wearing skate shoes and he just dressed like, I guess,
skater.
us a little bit, and he wasn't like professional and like, I'm your teacher. It was,
He was had a cup of Coca-Cola in his hand all the time.
Yeah,
it was like part of his body.
That I know it was like a weekly lunch schedule. It was like Little Caesars, Quiznos. We're doing Booster Juice today. We're doing like, it was a mix, and like every day the kids would be guessing like, what day is it? Like whatever. It's yeah. He started with skateboarding and skate videos before he was a teacher, and I think we were pretty inspired by that. Like we thought that was
Sounds
sick.
like it. Yeah.
We were like,
he taught like me everything about filming and editing and doing
Wow.
Photoshop. And he would always tell stories about like the marketing schemes they would do for the skate brands that he worked with.
Okay.
And then that also just helped me a lot in like how to market digital workshop, and, but more of the skater route. Because for me, it's like a lot of the video production companies I've seen, I'm like, there's no like goofy one. Like there's always like very serious video production companies.
Yeah.
And then me and Rio actually was one that pitched the idea. Is like, what if we start doing like these ads that just have a funny joke on them? And then I know one of them was like, it's a picture of me with middle finger up, and it's like, at the age of 24, Paul Thomas Anderson made Hard 8. At the age of 24, Steven Spielberg made Duel. At the age of 24, Tommy made this ad.
There you go.
yeah.
You're among the greats, I think.
No, I am now.
And now that we've got a full-on setup in here. I think my perception of skate culture is kind of, as you said, it's very like sticking it to the man and very pop punk, which is why I'm a little surprised that you both also are very into rap and hip hop, because I would think that those two things are at odds. But it sounds like there's overlap from what you're saying in your...
Well, I would say even the in skateboarding too, the rap and the hip hop is all. I'd say it's also there. I'd say at least in terms of music, skate videos are very how do you say? They're very important in the execution, and you can't do a trick that another guy did at this spot, or you can't put a song that this guy used in his video.
Oh, it's that.
It's that kind of thing. But if you want to use, Power by Kanye West, you better have a killer video part, but, don't have 20 different skaters using Power by Kanye West.
Interesting. Okay.
And if you are copying or ripping something and like genuinely doing it, that's not cool.
But also, I think social media also killed skateboard culture, because like there's this, you only have like a 10-second window or however long videos are now. You can't really do many tricks.
It did good and bad for things, but it's how do you say? It's still alive, and it's still happening, and like all you can hope is that it doesn't die out. And I'd say with most things that are going on, but it's real, and you're out there, and you're not staring at a screen, and like you're actually maybe talking to some other people, or you're just by yourself in your own zone, and you're kind of just in that free mind state. But I think maybe that's the more important side of it. And I think also the principles of like we don't necessarily want to rip anyone off, and like I think we want to do our own thing, which I feel like we are. But this is, I think everything Digital Workshop is very much just like looking in Tommy's brain, and like
That's very kind of you.
it's you know, it keeps growing and growing and growing.
I'll just have like a massive brain.
Yeah, he's gonna be Megamind too.
Yeah.
Megamind too. Yeah.
There we go.
We blew.
It's interesting that you're saying that it's at an interesting spot, skate culture and stuff. I was gonna say actually, I'm a trainer and I work at a gym near kind of where this is. And last summer, so 2024 summer, every evening that I'm coming home, like coming back up Portage, I would see this group of what I assume to be young men skateboarding and like filming it on like the median on Main.
Yeah.
And like fully like getting in the way of my car. I'm like, I could hit you. I won't, because I respect whatever you're doing, but you know, just doing tricks and things. And it was a very nice moment to see just people out there being with each other. Like obviously they're making something as well, but they're with each other, and I feel like that's something you don't see a lot of. Just like Tommy was saying, Instagram gives you a clip for however long, even if it's like a minute and a half though, it's so edited that it almost doesn't feel real and authentic. And in my head, skate videos are very raw. Obviously they're edited to a degree, but not in the same way that like an Instagram reel would be or a TikTok would be now, right? How would you describe kind of the art style needing to film skate videos?
Very wide. So skate videos are wide, close, shaky, loud. They are not polished necessarily.
Usually followed by a cop chasing them.
You know,
like
they're
iconic.
There's usually a guy making sure security's not getting in the way, and that did he get the clip? And like skateboarding videos specifically, I want to say, really started, or like it kicked off with a special camera called the SONY Vx1000, and if you could probably picture it, but it has like a handle on it with like a little mic, and it's a tape camera, and they would put this huge fisheye lens on it, and they would just get as close as they can, and that's the look. And it was sick. It was raw. You looked like you were like right beside the board. They're flipping this thing around you. They're hitting the lens. They're breaking it. The tape's getting broken. The camera's getting broken. All sorts of stuff. And it's a mission. It really is a mission to get that video, get the part, land the trick, have it look good, have the style, which is super important. Because you can do the trick, but if you have no style, no one cares to watch it.
What does that mean?
You got to have a little, with the way you do a trick, you got to have a little swag. You got to have a little style with it. You got to have a little pep in your walk necessarily. You can't be a stiff walk kind of thing. Okay. And maybe you can, but in skateboarding generally, style is a huge proponent, where everything about it, the clothes, the song, the look of the video, the look of the spots you're skating, the look of the team, the look of the brand, it is very important. And I think when Tommy kind of brought me in here and I was looking at the brand itself and the page, I was asking the question, like, what is Digital Workshop? What do you want this to be? I really just saw a lot of that skateboarding brand kind of, foundation in Digital Workshop. So I was like, all right, like, let's lock into this. The culture itself, how do you say, it's good, but I think again the most important thing is you're out there in person, face to face, and I think that's the other thing that's super important to us, where a lot of things that we do as Digital Workshop, we want it to be an experience and interactive in a way, where I think First Fridays is one of our, I'd say, most important, one of our biggest like opportunities to do that and give back to the people. And I think the more that we've kind of grow, the more that we're just trying to implement that experience for the people. Get out here. You're not necessarily looking at your phone screen. It might be an old TV, but you're having fun with some people and you're chatting.
You're meeting new people.
Yeah.
And then I was seeing people just that I've never met, only via Instagram, just come to the studio is like such a crazy experience.
Yeah.
I had this one guy who came in. He's like, "Oh my god, I've been watching your videos since like 2016." I'm like, "Oh my god, this is cool." This is like meeting someone like that, and then them like going out of their way to drive all the way to our studio and just meet us is like the coolest thing ever.
It's very surreal.
No, you guys have done a really, really good job with the branding, and it doesn't feel like another generic studio that does production. And there are lots in the city, obviously, but this one is definitely different, and you can get that in the feel of the studio and then also in what you guys produce. So that's really great. Speaking of kind of what you do and how you bring things to various spaces and events for folks, this like resurgence of digital tech, like everyone, I went on a girls trip there, I can't say more because they'll scream at me, but they had a digital camera, which
was it like the early 2000s ones?
Like it was like, I think it was, oh god, what color was it? It was either like pink or like silver, but like in like that one of those bulky ones. I don't have any of the footage and I don't need to see it, but we took it to Vegas with us, and it was just I didn't think it would really matter to me. I was like, whatever, it's a digital camera. I haven't had one since 2008, but it was a ton of fun, like to just have, and like looking through some of the photos and going like, this just feels better. Like I feel more attached to the memory.
Yeah. And
so with more people getting disposable cameras or shooting on film for their own personal use, how do you guys feel about that? I assume pro.
You want to go first?
Sure, yeah, I love it. I'm glad everyone's like documenting themselves, and I think that's like something we're missing out on when it comes to like there's our iPhones. Like I know like my mom is an example. She just takes a bunch of photos for like a year or two, and I'm like, oh, do you want me to back it up? And she's like, no. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, these are photos. She's like, yeah, but it's on the phone. I don't really. These like not up to par for her standards.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that people, especially for film, people are getting their prints. So being able to have a physical thing that you can look back at is amazing.
Yeah, I think that as an aspect, even as a photographer, is really important. You need to, I think it's important you print your photo off at some point, and you hold some of your photos and look at them and touch them, because when you print something off and you put it on the wall and you step back 20 feet, that's different than holding a 6-inch screen away or a 30-inch or 50-inch or whatever it is screen away. 30, 3 feet, 5 feet, a foot. I think a lot of it stems from there's no soul in phones anymore. They're all the same. It's just a rectangle with some light, and like there's a lot of importance in having dedicated tools or like dedicated items.
Yeah.
And I think that the better term is single use items. So, I use my film camera. It is strictly a camera. It does nothing more. I don't have any other expectations out of it, but the thing that it does very well. And, your car does not need to be your home with an iPad in it and games and whatever. But if it's a good car and it's good on gas and like you maybe can play a song in it and get safely, that's a good tool. And your phone, you have, like Tommy said, 1,000, 10,000 photos on your iPhone or whatever it is. Are you going to look through them? Are you going to print them off? Are you ever going to archive anything? I think there's this huge resurgence right now with physical media coming back, and I don't know if it's like streaming services charging too much for everything, and we're all just getting pissed off and being like, why is Netflix like $30? Why is Spotify?
Or like they take off your favorite show and you're like, oh,
I'm
about to finish it, but then it's like,
they
took it off.
And you don't own anything anymore in a sense, unless you do go and get physical media and use physical media, but you don't own anything on Spotify. You don't own anything on Netflix. You don't, if you don't actually hold it, like what are you paying for? So with those digital cameras and stuff, I think the experience of like not having the phone that is like, check your friends, check your work, check your parents, check your blah, 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 blah. The camera, you just like, oh, I can only take a photo. And then you're just like not really getting into that mindset of getting lost in the sauce with the phone the phone brain rot, like algorithm.
I also think that our generation's missing out on the having someone to come over and like show them photos. I think nowadays it's like, okay, I'll just send Rio. Let's say example Rio, this random photo I haven't. Yeah, and then I don't get to see his reaction.
Yeah,
we're missing out on
There's
that.
a shared connection that you lose. I've liked seeing more digital stuff. I don't own like a digital camera still, but it's on my list of things to get because I want to feel more attached to the memories. I recently bought a photo album for my home, so I'm filling it with pictures slowly but surely. Yeah, what is the first camera you had?
Would you count a webcam?
What's the first camera you bought for yourself?
For myself. Okay. It would have been.
Sorry, it is crazy that you said webcam. Like that would be.
He probably was fooling around.
I was like, I don't.
I filmed a lot of my early like childhood movies
on a webcam.
Yeah, I did a lot of stop motion, so I used the webcam and like.
Oh well, now I feel like an asshole.
No, I'm not good.
Yeah, webcams just seem, I don't know, seedy. Yeah. Like this laptop has a webcam, and I'm realizing I've like never really thought about the fact that it has one because it's built into it, right? Yeah. Everything has a camera now, but a webcam is definitely a step back. Sorry, yes, your first like actual camera.
My first actual camera. Okay. It was a iFlip, and what was it? Got it from Superstore. My mom spent like X amount of money on groceries, and they give you a free
flip camera.
Oh, those were the days.
Yeah, but then I actually recently was trying to track it down. Turns out I had a bootleg version of it.
Oh, you got a knockoff version?
Yeah, because like I was trying to like track down the colorway I had. And I was like, oh, this doesn't exist. I was like, oh wait, did I get a rare like Superstore exclusive like camera? But then then I searched up. I was like, oh wait, other brands made this, so I found out I made a bootleg. Got a bootleg one. And then the problem with that was that because they didn't take SD cards, so you had this USB port that you had to connect to the
just plug in your computer.
But I remember never being able to get the photos off of my camera, so that I was like, oh, that makes total sense why this is the bootleg.
Yeah. Oh no. Also, kind of an asshole move on their part to give people a shittier version of what they think is a legit product.
Oh my god, yeah.
But okay.
I think it probably still happens at like stores nowadays.
Yeah.
They give out like free
AirPod versions.
Yeah.
Huh.
With no O or something.
The wheels of capitalism keep turning. What was your first camera?
Version. I guess the first camera I bought, I don't know. I had a little bit of a camera journey and like swapping them around for like 6 months before I kind of settled on anything. But what was it called? Olympus EM5. It was just a little digital Olympus. And I did have like my aunt's old film camera and stuff, but I just never used it or touched it. But I wanted to. I went on a trip a few years back to Europe, and I like really wanted to bring the camera. My parents were like, "No, you're gonna look like a tourist. You're gonna get robbed or whatever." And I was like, "All right, fine, whatever." So I was like, forget about it. But then I got this digital camera. I had a cat that was like getting old, and I was like, "Hey, I want to take a lot of pictures of him, so let's get a camera." I hated every camera I bought. I went through like 3 or 4 different cameras. Then I got this like Fujifilm camera, and I was like kind of liking it.
I remember those.
Yeah. Well, it was like a new Fujifilm.
Oh.
Yeah. It was really nice. And then I got this camera called the Canon P, and that was kind of like the camera that set it off for me. And it's pretty much like this camera here.
Okay.
Just I would say like a budget version from Canon, but from 65 years ago. Okay. So I thought it looked cool. I was like, I'll get into film. I'll try it, whatever. Like, I'm not loving this digital camera stuff. And I loved it, holding it, the sounds, loading it, getting the photos back. Like, everything about the experience was like, all right, this is it. So I sold everything digital. And I kind of went ham with that Canon P. And then I was just shooting a lot for myself, taking a lot of photos and posting on Instagram. Tommy was like, "Hey, you wanna come to this thing tonight and take some photos?" I was like, "Oh, sure. Like, why not?"
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where the joint of the brand kind of kicked off there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kind of all just I want to say it only worked out because I got that camera. We tried joining a few years ago, and I just we didn't know, I think, where to put me, and I think maybe he wasn't as established yet, and what Digital Workshop was or is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so Rio joined like 6 months ago, but he's been just doing a massive facelift for Digital Workshop and helping out from like an outsider perspective, looking into the brand.
Yeah.
And he's been just cleaning up and helping me make Digital Workshop pretty, and also doing a lot, a whole host of other things. But that's
important. It's got to be pretty.
important.
It looks very aesthetic in like a non-aesthetic way. It feels
For sure.
very, what's the word? Organic, natural.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like you said, comfy and homey.
Mhm.
And it's always been aesthetic, Tommy. You sold me a shirt and it
Yeah.
wasn't like this. So like, and what was the shirt? It had a dog on it, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
From
One
Back
of
to the
the-
Future.
No, it was
Oh.
it was another dog, but then it transferred over to the dog from Back. It was based off the dog from Back to the
Okay.
Future.
Yeah. I think I like walked by the back room in Swiss where you were, and I said hi, and we were talking. And you're like, "Do you want to buy a shirt?" And I went, "Like your shirt, like
Just the
anyone's
shirt-
shirt, like
shirt
a
I was
shirt
wearing.
from." And then you had to explain to me what you were doing. I was like, "Oh yeah,
Oh, I remember I had a poster of the shirt
Yeah.
in the room.
yeah." You're like, "This shirt." I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure, whatever. I'll send you money." I still have it. It's
Oh,
somewhere.
wow.
It's somewhere. I definitely have seen it recently.
It's a collector's
so I
item
definitely
like
still have
that.
it. Yeah, it's gonna be vintage.
We'll never
Vintage Digital Workshop.
Vintage Digital Workshop.
There will be more merch coming out.
Oh, yeah?
soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We are planning a merch drop for the summer, so
Excellent.
be on the lookout.
Okay, I'll keep my eyes peeled and I'll link it when
We'll put a
when it
poster
becomes-
up in Swiss Chalet.
Yeah, doesn't exist anymore.
We'll find one.
We'll
We'll make it work.
We'll go to a different province. Go to
Real
a different
marketing.
Swiss chalet. All for the lore. Awesome. How do you? Okay, because we've talked about how in this very weird, bizarre way we've all worked at the same two places
That's insane.
in Winnipeg without really knowing.
Oh, I didn't go to Swiss Chalet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, party stuff.
Party stuff.
So all three of us worked at Party Stuff. Tommy and I met at Swiss Chalet. Party Stuff is just a party store in Winnipeg. I think it's only local to Winnipeg, hey?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't not know
Yeah.
that. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a family business, and
Cool.
they sold it off now.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Good on them.
Yeah. So it sells everything you could need for a party. And then Swiss Chalet was, honestly, I'll say it, the worst restaurant. It was a terrible restaurant. I am well aware I was not that good of a server, but it was not a place that I had to actually be any good at all because it was terrible chicken and battery acid for Swiss Chalet sauce. But we have all kind of worked in those two places. And so I wonder, just with the stories, I always found that restaurant work and like customer service work was where I got the most entertainment from people.
Oh no, 100%.
And like
yeah.
I feel like it informs a lot of the jokes I make just because people are so wild and the dynamics that they bring into these spaces. How do you feel like your past work experience kind of informs the way you creatively direct or the things you like to shoot or your approach to film as a whole?
Oh man, that's a good.
Thanks, I'm good at this.
Definitely just meeting customers who are just very out like characters, shaped a lot, and just I think it's also another layer of like the stress you get from working in a high like stress environment like that, and I think since everyone's so stressed, like the worst comes out of them. It's as like from your coworkers, and like.
And the customers.
And the customers too.
Yeah.
It's not because also the customers are just hungry as hell sometimes, and when you're not when you're hungry.
Or they let their balloons go outside.
Yeah. Or they leave them in their car
Yeah.
when you explicitly tell them not to because we live in a cold place and they
Or
will
hot.
deflate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or it's too
They're
hot and they
pops.
leave them. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. People don't take instruction well.
Or,
You'll learn.
Man,
But
I used to what was it for party stuff. It was I had a party stuff uniform. I had a name tag, and people would always come up to me like, "Oh, are you like, do you work here?" And I always respond with like, "No, this is just my costume, you know." And then they were like, "Oh, okay," and they would walk away. And then I think my manager got angry at me. He's like, "Stop making those jokes. People keep on walking away from you." But then I'm always like, "Well, I'm clearly in a uniform right
Yeah.
here." But definitely a lot of just customer work shapes a lot of my humor. Just meeting people are just strange.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's. Do you have?
Yeah. I don't know. That's funny enough. I actually only remember so much of working at the party store. Maybe for a good thing, maybe for a bad thing. The balloons was probably the most fun, and like helping kids was helping kids is always a lot of fun. Like find their costume for Halloween. Like they're looking up at this huge wall, like I want to be the Ninja Turtle, and we're like, yeah, we don't got the Ninja Turtle because this is like 3 days before Halloween, and your dad screwed up by taking you today. But you can be Superman. He's like, I don't like Superman, but it fits. Trust me. That kind of stuff. Just kind of learning just to be on the fly, and like you just got to make it work with what you got. But I think on the other end of things, my actual day job is I 3D model like farm equipment. I'm a CAD designer.
Oh, cool.
So I've been doing that for like 5 or 6 years now, and I've like made processes, I guess, and updated products, and updated them with revisions, and I've done a lot of like little cleanup management stuff, and I think that's where me kind of stepping in and taking charge of a lot of stuff with Digital Wrkshop comes in, because I have so much experience, and that's what I've been just doing for the past years, that it's just kind of like drilled into me, and I see where things could be applied, and I'm like, all right, if we want this to be good and successful, like unfortunately some of the things we got to do when they're boring, and they might not sound the most exciting, but like those kind of things. But there's definitely times I miss blowing up balloons, and like just the diversity of like the happiest and angriest and most stressed out, and
people
like
you can ever imagine.
And just like giving the odd kid a balloon, and they're like stoked because they're like 3, and like your parents are like, I don't gotta pay for this, right? I'm like, no, like they could let it go for all I care. But it's there's lots to learn, and I'd say also working with this guy, I've learned a lot too in this realm of things, and it's been a fun time. It's been good.
Is it good working with like a really good friend? Or I guess you guys are best friends.
Yeah, we're childhood friends.
Yeah. I'd say we find a good balance.
Yeah, I mean, we do have our moments where we're like at each other's necks, but
not even then. Not too.
It's just from Tommy.
It's not too much.
Tommy's got this
secretly dying.
It's he's definitely probably died or something. Not telling me, and we'll talk about it later. Like no. I'd say we never yell at each other.
No, we never yell. It's more like
anything like that. It's just like we kind of know, like, hey, maybe like we got to tone it down. Like, take a break on some shit, for a little bit. But
but Rio's been like the best.
Appreciate that.
Business partner that I've had so far throughout this whole.
Yeah, he's gone through a lot of.
I
wouldn't want to say gone through, but he's
burned through them.
He's had a lot of people come in and assist, and it wasn't necessarily the right fit. Or the timing necessarily. That could be it too. But yeah, I think even with me before, he tried to bring me in a few years ago, and he wanted me to do some 3D modeling stuff for him, and it just didn't seem right. I think with the time of my life and just how it would connect with the brand and what I'd actually be doing for him. I don't think I necessarily wanted, how do you say? It's my day job, but I don't think I necessarily want to do it every day, all day for the rest of my life. That kind of thing. Which is probably where a lot of this photo stuff and everything with Tommy's kicking in like extra hard. A lot of times when he says I've only been doing it with him for 6 months, I'm kind of like blown away again. I'm like, damn, like it's only been 6 months. It hasn't even been a year yet. And the amount we've grown, I want to say we've doubled in growth. On socials and
like on Instagram. When I was doing I think I've had Digital Wrkshop Instagram for 7 years. Only had 500 followers, but then Rio came in for 6 months. I gained another 500.
Yeah.
So I was like, whoa, dude, this guy's killing it, helping me out.
Yeah. Now that we got these other guys here helping us out, we're getting like a pretty consistent like 3,000, 5,000, 9,000 views and stuff on videos, music videos and podcasts and stuff. And the momentum's great, and we just got to take it and run with it. And I think with the momentum, we actually made a big call last night and had a meeting. and we decided to break up into a sister brand. Not necessarily break up, but I'd say
divvy up the work.
Yeah, divvy up the workflow. So back to the skateboarding, the girl company, or the company Girl, there's a sister company, Chocolate. So Girl and Chocolate, you know, they're together. They were started by Rick and Mike, and they, you know, that's core skateboarding right there. But Girl was so big and had certain, you know, riders and stuff, and everything was coming up, and it just didn't necessarily make sense to dump everything on Girl. So they're like, no, we're gonna do Girl and Chocolate, and it'll be these two things. Yeah, so we decided that, you know, we're starting to do podcasts and more professional work, and then we're also doing more music work and creative work and event work, you know, the experience stuff like a First Friday, and it seemed like we were doing a lot under one umbrella. And one of the ideas that I had when I started getting in with Tommy here is we were gonna move. We actually moved from upstairs to downstairs, one room, one floor. But we were gonna move like a street over to Arthur, and it didn't work out. His van got stolen from, you know, the alleyway here.
It got stolen twice.
Oh my god.
Stolen again?
No. I mean, like, it got stolen, and then these guys just left it somewhere, and then another guy came in and stole it again.
Oh.
Yeah.
Two different
people.
thieving minds
Yeah.
said this is a perfect target.
Yeah.
That's Winnipeg for you.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, totally. But yeah, so we moved down here, and I think in the move, that's, I think, where I kicked in a little more, and I was saying, like, all right, some of the stuff from upstairs we're not necessarily putting downstairs, and I was kind of, I modeled the room, and I made some layout options, and we had these other three guys here, Josh, Earl, and Danilo. They came in to step in.
Shout out.
Yeah, and they became part of the team to help us out, and we all moved in down here, and it's been going great since. But I had this idea to start something called Everybody Eats. And my concept on it was we were gonna open up a store and a little gift shop, I guess, but we didn't necessarily have merch or clothes to sell. We were thinking, you know, some other artist or someone in the city would come and, you know, rent out the spot, and we would sell their clothes, and everybody eats. Everybody's coming away a winner from it. The customer's getting something cool. We're putting on for someone else. We're also helping, you know, ourselves and putting ourselves, giving an experience for everyone. But with that, it's all deli themed and kitchen themed. So we've now started it up as of last night, which was what? The 27th there.
Y'all move fast.
We do. I've had the account made for a while. I've been ready for it, essentially. 'Cause I've known the time is going to come. We just knew that, you know what? We're not ready for it yet. The time will come, but just sit on it. There's a lot of ideas that if you do think of it, write it down, sit on it. You probably forget a lot of good ideas in your life, and it's a shame that you could have saved it. But we have now started this I guess conglomerate called Everybody Eats, and it's Digital Workshop and Everybody Eats. So from this point forward, everything music related, creative related, as in the events, TV stage design, photo booth, music videos, you know, that's under the Digital Workshop branding, and that's mostly Tommy and I, and the other three guys will still help us out. But everything on the professional end, podcasts, live event video, mostly the media production, that's going to be under Everybody Eats. And we're you know, we're a bunch of cooks in the kitchen, and we're trying to get the food out to y'all. We're putting the menu together right now, and you guys will see real soon. But come this First Friday coming up for March, that'll be, I guess, some of the premiere of Everybody Eats to the world.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to post about it. Your episode will come out after that.
Yeah, no worries.
First Fridays are all throughout the year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So every First Friday of the year, we will be doing an event, unless for some circumstance, something we can't hold it or whatever it is. But we are also hoping to do a Nuit Blanche event.
That'd be very cool.
And that would, you know, it's those kind of things where it's, does this fall under Everybody Eats or does this fall under Digital Workshop? And I think now that we've decided that it's a lot more clear cut in what's going to go where, we can really run with it on some of the fun stuff we want to do on Digital Workshop, and we can really run with it on the professional creative side of things that we want to do on Everybody Eats. And at the end of the day, everyone's coming home a winner, hopefully. And it's also, we got to have fun. You got to make sure you're having fun. That's a really important thing with Digital Workshop.
That's like the foundation of just having fun.
Yeah, we don't want you to come in here and have a bad time, and I don't think anyone does almost come in here and have a bad time unless they're looking to have a bad time.
Yeah.
Shout out someone who came in here on First Friday, but we won't get into it.
I don't know how you could have a bad time. There's like a vintage Reader's Digest. There's a Kirby sitting behind Rio's head. I feel like, you're obviously going through a lot if you're having a bad time in here. I think it would be very fun. No one steal this idea. I don't know if it's good. For Nuit Blanche, because you have so many TVs, do you know what the silent discos that people do?
Yeah.
I feel like if you had like different videos playing on TVs and had like silent disco headphones for people to like watch across like like parts of the exchange or like in a specific venue, that'd be sick. Because you got a lot of TVs, man. Like I don't, you gotta put them to use. But if you had like different TVs playing like different things from the headphones, have people stand and watch TV together.
That's like
throw back to the basement.
Yeah.
You know?
How do you say? I don't think we're allowed to. We might not be allowed to talk of it from this point forward. But,
okay.
I think you might be a little on. Did you talk to him before this?
No.
Okay, so
I just thought of it because you mentioned Nuit
No,
Blanche.
you might be on a little something. So we can talk
Hire
after
me.
this.
I'm looking for more work.
So,
I'll take another job.
there we go. Maybe we'll get you helping on some Digital Workshop stuff here. It's a great idea.
It's a good idea. Very good idea.
Well, maybe it's just being in this space makes me more creative. So
that is something we kind of strive for here. We did have one of our buddies from downstairs come by, and they were just like, "What is this place? I want to just like sit down and create something." And I'm like, that is very much the vibe we want to give off. You don't want to come in here and just be like drained. That's no fun for anyone.
There's a million minimalist art studios out there.
No, it's no fun. It gets old, and I think we're lacking third places. You know, like the concept of a third place is like you're the local at the coffee shop. I guess you go to you go to school, you go to work, you go home or whatever. But then I guess that'd be the fourth place. But whatever it is, you got that place like this, and I think by opening the door when we can, it really gives that opportunity to people who just. There's only so much going on in the city here, and like if you can do something different and cool for a night, that's so huge. And the weight on that of giving back to the community and to the city is like priceless. It's all you can do.
I thought you were gonna add something. That's okay.
Yeah, you kind of look like it.
I agree with you.
Yeah, you guys have shared so much, and you're doing so many cool things. And I do want to wrap it up, but I'm just kind of curious. What is your favorite part about working in this industry?
Meeting the people is like such. They're just different like lives they've lived, and it's a few job where you're actually like talking to them on a more human levels, not like you're just a customer. Just like for the process for my process for making music videos, like I hang out with them for like a day, and then we like talk about like shot ideas and like kind of like our like the influences for the video and figuring out. It just feels like more of a hangout actually. So it's just like we're like working on something together. And just getting to know like what stuff what they like and all that, and that's my favorite part is just meeting people and getting to know them.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing is the kind of the reactions you get on the people end of things. With the meeting people's the best. Also, exploring the city, you're kind of getting your eyes open on all these cool people that you would never ever meet if you kind of stayed in your cliques and your friend groups or your corners. And it is a very open, inclusive thing that we're doing here, and that's what we want to be. But the reactions you get from people, like when I've only been shooting film for a year. When I've done some of my first photo shoots and I've given the photos back, the reactions I've gotten is like I was stoked. Yeah, I'm gonna be stoked. But like, if you actually like it, that's cool. A lot of people I know will just be like, "Oh, that's cool. I like it." Yeah, you know. But like to hear like legit feedback, and then now to also be, I guess, working like legitimately, not even with these guys, but like on my own, doing this kind of thing. I think it's the best thing. You couldn't do this without the people. None of this would exist without the people.
Yeah.
We'd just be hanging around in a studio for fun, which is fine.
Yeah.
We would probably do that too. But, you know, it really is the people at the end of the day.
Nice. Ah, such wonderful, wholesome answers. Well, thank you both. I've learned a lot about what you do and a lot about your plans and a lot about skateboarding. So,
Yes.
you know, maybe I'm always looking for new hobbies. Maybe I'll try.
Yeah.
I'll pad the shit out of myself, though I can't get hurt. I always ask guests if they'd like to be found. I assume you do. But would you like to be found? And if so, where can people find you? Tommy, we'll start with you.
Sure. You can find me at Digital Wrkshop, and work has no O. And my personal, if you like to hang out with me, at TPhamzy, is TPHAMZY.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then I guess you can find me also at Digital Wrkshop, as well as you can find me on at Must Be the Burner. I'm running and taking photos for the bar Must Be the Place, as well as you can find us on Everybody Eats. So if you just look me up, Rio Skirbo. I'm saying my name wrong, but it's just easier for everyone else. If you just look it up, RIOSCERBO,
Okay.
you'll see what we do there, and we're hoping to see you guys around online, and even more, I think we're hoping to see you guys face to face in the studio. And you know, if you're seeing this, come to a First Friday. If you see we're doing an event online, come stand in front of a TV tower and end up in a selfie video, and you know, just come say hi to us, even if you see us around, because we're kind of characters at this point, whether we like it or not. So, you know, don't be shy to give us a poke.
Amazing. Thank you both for your time, for your studio, for your creative wisdom and
Thank you as well.
insights. This has been another episode of Gossip and Critical Thought. I've been Kwene. We'll talk real soon.